Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hidden Archives. Today I will be doing another video for one of my classes at Liberty University as I pursue my PhD in history. This video will be about Mary Dyer. In the early colonial period, many of the early colonists left Britain to seek greater religious liberty in the New World. While some colonies, such as Rhode Island, offered religious toleration early on in their history, not all were so tolerant. Massachusetts was controlled by the Puritan Church, later to be known as Congregationalists. If one did not belong to the state church, one could face persecution. Often this meant jailing preachers of other denominations for preaching without a license, as only those belonging to the state church were granted licenses. This also happened in Anglican Virginia all the way into the 1770s. Massachusetts often went much further than this, especially in how they persecuted the Quakers, who were especially hated. There were varied punishments. Those being flogged were first stripped of clothing to increase their humiliation. If they were male, they would be stripped completely, but even women were often stripped to the waist for floggings. Their hands would be tied to a post, and they would receive a number of stripes across their back, buttocks, and legs. Stripping the victim was also de rigueur for tarring and feathering, and there is documentary evidence that this was done to a number of Quaker men in Massachusetts. They would then pour hot tar all over the victim's skin, burning them all over, before throwing feathers on them, forcing him to sit on a rail and then carrying him out of town and throwing him off the rail. Arthur Meyer Schlesinger wrote of the tarring and feathering of Tories during the 1770s, writing, "The tar brush was the favorite discipline for those of low degree. The mob, after applying a suit of the modern mode, carted the victim through the town as an object lesson to others as well as himself." Mary Dyer was one of those chosen for the ultimate punishment, that of being hanged. This came after she returned to Massachusetts after being banished a third time. She had been reprieved after being led to the scaffold the year before, having stated at the time that she was willing to suffer as her brethren did, unless they would annul their wicked law. The law to which she was referring was a 1658 law that banished all Quakers on pain of death. Despite her reprieve, Mary returned to Massachusetts again and was finally hanged in 1660. Angie Miles, in her essay From Monster to Martyr, representing Mary Dyer, highlights how the Massachusetts authorities tried to present assertive women like Mary Dyer as being like Jezebel in the Bible. In contrast, Mary Dyer compared herself to Esther, standing up to the wicked Haman. In this, she drew a contrast between Massachusetts law against Quakers and the law in the Book of Esther against the Jewish people. Mary's example was instrumental in King Charles II issuing a ban against further executions of the Quakers in Massachusetts. Eventually, the concept of religious liberty would spread throughout the colonies, being confirmed as an inherent right in the First Amendment. Massachusetts would continue to have a state church until 1830, but its power to persecute those not belonging to it had long since faded by that time. This concludes my presentation. Thank you. Have a nice day.